The Swordmaster is a physical damage carry that has a quote-unquote weakness to hunters. When used correctly, it basically has no weakness. And this thing will just be dropping whoever it attacks and then some. So what does this thing do? So first of all, in order to get a Swordmaster, you have to take a Sword Fighter and you have to promote it. So in this case, we have Melisandre, and she is promoted. And if you look at the growths, she has S in accuracy, evasion, crit, and initiative, and she has respectable physical attack. And if we look at some of the details here, 6 out of 6 stamina, 100 movement, infantry. Now she has some support bonuses, rapport bonuses, if you will. The garrison effect, greater garrison, recover HP and stamina faster in garrison. That's if she is the party leader in this case. Effective versus foes with high evasion, such as thieves, and effective versus things such as hunter. This is actually not the case, because you can cover the weakness of the true striking classes, typically with blocking units, or units that can just mitigate damage on true strikes. So true strikes tend to just deal decent damage, and if you can have the damage through like some kind of protective effect, you basically just have no weaknesses. Now this class is absolutely cracked. It has avoid tanking, it has high crits, it has opening strike, that it can just hit things, it has parry, it can refresh its action points with parry, it can refresh its passive points with impale, it has high evasion, it just murders everything. So when you make a Swordmaster, like when you promote from a Sword Fighter, you actually get to equip 2 weapons. Now, whatever the highest damage of the 2 is what is going to be added to your physical or magical attack, but you inherit both of the passives. So even though the Kingsblade Cornix has higher physical attack, we get all stats plus 5, and we also get crit plus 15 and poison immunity. And of course, you can use Artany Strike, which if you kill something with the first strike as soon as the battle starts, you get 2 passive points. And what I typically do is if I have an enemy scout, I'll have it set to this. So it'll only use this if there's an enemy scout or maybe an enemy flyer that you know you can one-shot. So as soon as the fight starts, you one-shot a thing and get 2 passive points. Now, you get 2 equipment slots and an extra weapon slot. And this allows you to mix and match different types of weapons. So for example, if you wanted to have like a runic blade, I can't take it from the other unit right now, but you could have runic blade, then you could switch in magic attack as needed, toggle it off, and so on. Basically have access to 2 different types of swords at any time. And also before combat, you can switch in weapons. So if you want to get Sanguine attack, you can get that for healing. If you want to get active shatter, you can get that to debuff enemies' attack points and so on. So let's actually demo this thing because it's kind of ridiculous. The particular build that I'm running is this. Let's just toggle that for now. All right, so let me show you the build really quick. So Lucky Coin gives you crit and evasion, so it doubles down on the avoid tank. So she has 92 base evasion, meaning most things are going to miss her, and if she just sits on the front line and enemies do not have range attacks, they cannot get through to your back line, and she basically just acts as like an evasion barrier to your back line. Also have Carnelian pendants for extra attacks so that she can attack 3 times. And then of course, a lot of these abilities are hit rate true, meaning they always hit. So Keen Edge, we'll go over the skills really quick. Keen Edge, plus 50% crit. True hit, so it always will hit, unless it gets blocked through some effect, which is also possible, but it will hit through avoid. It'll hit through evasion and evade, no matter what. So if a thief has like an evade passive that they can use that guarantees a missed attack, you will hit right through that and typically crit them as well. And then Impale is actually just a normal attack that has hit rate. Meteor Smash, normal attack that has hit rate. Hasten Strike, 150 physical potency. True hit. Also activates at the beginning of the turn. It's limited, so you can only have 1 ability or trigger at the beginning of the turn. You can't just run like 3 of these and have them all Hasten Strike before the enemies do anything. Only one of them, the fastest one, will go. Parry. Activates before being hit by a melee attack. Negate the melee damage for a single hit. Grants the user plus 1 AP. Charged Impetus grants the user plus 1 AP and plus 50% critical damage, and this activates after using a skill. So this is actually quite wild because you basically just get more or less a guaranteed crit and also action points from passive points, which can also be achieved through parrying. So you have 2 ways of giving yourself extra active points, and this is unlocked at level 25. And then of course the Artany strike from the sword she has equipped, Stingray. So that's very similar to Hasten Strike, except it has 100 physical potency instead of 150, which is a 50% damage increase of your basic hit, whereas this is just your basic hit damage. Both are true though, so they both can always hit super avoid tanks. And then of course you get the Valor skill Quick Impetus, deploy a sigil that increases initiative like by 20 for any allied units within range, 20-second duration. So this is quite good for being aggressive and getting an edge on your opponent. Typically this class excels in killing things before the enemy can react to it and just dealing insane crit damage. All right, the loadout. So Lucky Coin for crit and evasion, Carnelian Pendant for attacking, Stingray for crit, Cornyx Blade also gives crit, it gives 5, so between the two of these you're plus 20 crit from this, plus 20 crit from this, plus 40 crit, and then when you use Keen Edge you're plus 50 more crit. So assuming that there is either a cap of 100% crit rate, or maybe it's like something in the 90s that's internal, maybe there's like a 95% crit rate that's hidden or something like that, you're hitting near 100 crit rate using Keen Edge, and typically you're going to just whack things and kill them. Now the interesting thing about true attacks is that there's this thing called the Gambler's Coin that exists in the game. So this, for 1 passive point, buff an ally for their next attack, grants plus 30% attack, plus 50% critical damage. Not critical hit, critical damage. So whatever your crit damage is, you get 50% more, and you also get 30% more attack. This is effectively an 80% damage increase on a crit. And if you have 100% crit rate, you're gonna crit something, and when you hit it, it's gonna die. Now you lose 50 accuracy, but this class is quite accurate, so even at her base hit rate, she has 150 accuracy, so she just goes down to 100, or if you're using this on a true attack, such as Keen Edge, it cannot miss. So basically you're guaranteed to just one-shot something with a crit if you can connect the damage. Now the build that's supporting this is on an elf, Rosalind or whatever. You got Gambler's Coin, Lapis Pendant, and that Dove Plume, just to go for a quick freezing thrust to freeze something, and then just like basic attacks. So but basically Lapis Pendant, Gambler's Coin on an advanced class, and you can use at least three inspirations. So let's check it out. So opening strike, range assist, hasten strike kills with a crit, holy barrier, allowing her to tank just in case she does get hit, but she typically avoid tanks. Alright, inspiration, crit for 100, one shots the bird. So this is where this unit excels also, against hitting these very fast things and just dodge tanking enemies like she did here. So he's gonna miss an attack as well. She basically carries this team's damage and everyone else just supports her. She's really that good, where you can just run a team that just completely supports this unit. So inspiration, you do not miss, and you typically one-shot everything you hit, and it's ridiculous as hell. Now attacking armors, you can have some trouble, but you can switch to a runic blade, and you'll notice something interesting about the build that's actually pretty crazy. Alright, so Joseph in this case is just like a heal bot that puts barrier on her if something were to hit her, so that halves her damage, so it's kind of like a safety net. But check this out. So now Gambler's Coin gives you attack, and it gives you crit damage. This is not physical necessarily. This is just damage. So plus 30% attack, if you switch her to Runic Blade and she crits on Runic Blade and she gets inspirationed, she gets 30% attack on that Runic Blade and then 50% crit damage on that Runic Blade. She will one-shot crit armors as if they're nothing, and can easily run a Runic Blade because she has 2 weapon slots. So as long as you have it unequipped by whoever's using it, or if it's just like a float weapon, like it's in between, like some of these weapons are just unequipped, you can just grab them before combat. You can hand her the Runic Blade and she can kill armors like nothing. She has 3 attacks. She has 3 3 action points in this build. So she can get crit boosted. It's weapon agnostic. That's the beautiful part about this. It leverages her true strike. It leverages the fact that she's insanely fast, has high initiative and good accuracy, or in most cases true strike. You can damage boost literally anything, crit boost literally anything. The crit rates apply to all of her weapons. So for example, if we wanted to keep the crit rate relatively high, we could drop Cornix for the runic blade and then keep the crit rate at 63. And then if she goes in magic attacks, her crit rate's like at least 63, which is still pretty high. So chances are you do crit and kill. And even if you don't crit, with all those damage increases, typically she'll one-shot armors anyways. But yeah, pretty solid build, really fast, really aggressive. In a lot of cases, what will happen is she will use Hasten Strike, kill something, and then her high initiative allows her to Keen Edge, kill another thing. So in a lot of situations, she actually opens with 2 kills, unless there's like something seriously getting in her way. But that's what all these magical utilities are for. These can stun and freeze. This has very high initiative. This could freeze a guard pretty quickly. So like after her first attack, if it gets like messed up in some way, this can freeze a guard, and then she can attack non-frozen enemies and start attacking other things based on the formation. But yeah, very good class. Second team that hard carries. I have 2 teams that hard carry. This is one of them. It can basically just take on almost anything. Here it is, effortlessly killing that. Almost effortlessly killing this. Maybe I adjust some tactics, I get to kill this thing, effortlessly killing that. This. Doesn't really matter. So here's an armor, but if we switch to runic, she can hit right through that thing. And then once she's through, it's done. Like, you just start ripping apart the things in the back line that are not that tanky. But like most of these matchups, without it changing a single thing, this team just one rounds everything except for like 2 things that I could adjust to get the 1 round. Like this, I could damage boost. I could probably debuff the one dude. Maybe I switch it so that he gets frozen or something. Like you could combo it and sequence it so you could get the kill easier. And actually Joseph in this team, all he really does is protect Melisandre from getting hit through Holy Barrier. And you could really, there are other things that give this effect that it could be on any unit. So you could have like a 3rd utility that has like some kind of protection, 1 passive point ability that allows her to be protected from key threats. So the things you don't want to protect against are things that she can parry. So pretty much range threats and some magic that can accurately hit, and especially true strikes. But once you protect against true strikes and then you factor in like healing from like another utility, you basically do not die. And you could also do something like hand her a few vitality permanent stat boosts, as well as like damage, so that way she can tank a hit and then dish out more damage because it's crit damage. So the higher the base damage, the more the crits do. But yeah, very fun unit, very fun build. As soon as I got this unit, I immediately recognized it was like a thief that can kill, and it's one of my favorite units right now, the Swordmaster. It's just so good. And that's not even like, this is just using like 2 things from its kit too. So, and you can min-max, like you can use this to get the passive points if you can get a kill immediately. It's the same thing, right? Like as long as you kill with either one of these, this one just benefits you more because you get 2 passive points and then you can get more parries. And the crazy thing about parry is if you were to dodge something, it will not consume a parry. So if things have like 20 to 30 hit rate on you, you don't even need to use parry. It's just like a safety net. It's like if the attack actually gets through, you'll just parry it and just eat the attack. And then the parry gives you an action point, which is even more disgusting. So you could also just drop Lucky Coin if you want her to get hit to go to parries. Go to parry combos. Just give Eye Patch for the crits, and then allow more incoming hits, and then go for parries to get more action points that way. More action points equals more attacks. More attacks means more killing chances or more damage to push you over the edge to kill in a single combat. But absolutely fantastic class. Highly recommend running it. Probably S+ tier, at least at the middle game right now. It's just dominating everything it fights. So yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Peace.